We have had tremendous impact. We want to make certain that our choices with medical marijuana and its unlawful use become a centerfold for every household, for every family. We want the conversations around the dinner table to be enlightened and based on information that's correct, that it's our best thoughts about best practices, and how do we really make certain that we're maximizing the truths behind medical marijuana and its unlawful use. So it's an initiative that has many tentacles, that has the assessment piece that we know will add value to our communities, because we've been doing this and doing it very successfully, educating minority communities since 1887. We've got a proven track record of making certain that we're delivering the best services and products that we can.
Education is what Florida A&M University is about. Research is what Florida A&M University is about. That's true of other universities too. Florida A&M University has proven itself in the combination of education, research, and community engagement. Our researchers, our educators are able to address those impact issues related to marijuana in the state of Florida. Not only has the president seen it, but the legislature has seen it, which is really what led to this initiative being funded. We are an institution with a long history of successful research. Our research covers education. Our research covers the impact of legal issues related to marijuana. Our research covers children, adults, aging adults, older adults. Our research takes us into the communities of Florida. President Robinson sees us, and our initiative sees us as a leader in information gathering and information sharing related to the realm of marijuana. We'll talk about it later, but research really does say what we're all saying here. There's a lot to be learned about marijuana, and the way we're going to learn it, the way our information is going to grow, the way we're going to become the touchstone institution is through the answers that research provides.
First and foremost, the problem that we have is that for you to enter the industry for medical cannabis, you have to be vertically integrated. That means that to be the provider, to be certified, to get your license, you have to be the grower, you have to be the cultivator, you have to be the distributor, and you have to be the seller. Basically, that means you have to be a pretty large business with access to a tremendous amount of capital. What that does, unfortunately, is it does create a monopoly sort of situation. In the state of Florida right now, I see it as kind of a cartel system where you have a limited number of providers because of the financial obstacles to enter the industry. And what that unfortunately does is it shuts out small businesses, and it also shuts out minority communities. The same minority communities that unfortunately have been incarcerated as a result of backwards and draconian cannabis laws that we've had on the state and the federal.
Marijuana is a street term. Cannabis is a scientific name.
Cannabinoids are naturally derived compounds in the cannabis plant. There are 70+ cannabinoids already identified in the cannabis plant. And the two of the most prominent, intensely investigated, are THC and the CBD. The THC is its most psychoactive form. And the cannabinoid, which is CBD oil, CBD, is a compound which is main constituents, most common form of cannabis, having little or no psychoactive component. So it is the opposite. So you have to use anything you treat, you have to use these two compounds in combination. So how do you make this compound? So it is a very complicated process. How do you extract these from the cannabis plant, right? So the cannabis plant is grown in a very, very protective farm.
There's actually cannabinoid receptors in our body already. So the Cannabis has THC and CBD, which are the plant versions. But just like your own body has natural endorphins, and that's what, if you take morphine after a surgery, the morphine is hitting those same receptors. The plant version is hitting the receptors you already have in the human body. So every vertebrate mammal, or every vertebrate, not even just mammals, has these receptors. So, evolved thousands of years ago. We have those receptors anyway. The plant is just giving us, replacing it.
The doctor writes an order, puts it into the registry, then the patient goes to a dispensary. At the dispensary, you're allowed to then choose what's best for you, whether that's a cream for your arthritis, cream for a local spot, a tablet or a capsule. So the form in which you take it, if it's a vaporizer, that's a little faster acting medication, but it doesn't last quite as long. A capsule takes a little longer to metabolize, and then it hangs around longer. Again, a topical, you're going to put where the problem is, your arthritis, and now we're having these other forms, edibles.
Medical cannabis has been proven to be better for ADD, which I may struggle with, than the drugs that are prescribed in this country. That was proven in Europe. Half of our retired population has diabetes. A lot of it has to do with NASH liver and slow-wave sleep being decreased. United Kingdom proved that medical cannabis increases slow-wave sleep and lowers your blood sugar and gets the fat out of your liver and helps you not die from diabetes. Or you can take a pill that costs $400 a month and it'll cause a stroke, like Jardiance and Farxiga.
Pharmaceutical grade means that it is 99% natural or without binding factors.
Florida was a little slow in getting behind the wheel because as pharmacists we try to be ethically correct. The federal law says this is still not something that we can sell or touch or talk about legally. We can counsel you if we know something, but I can't sell it in my pharmacy. It's a Federal One, Schedule 1 drug. In Florida it's not, but according to the federal law, I can't engage in it.
As law enforcement officers, you're kind of put in the middle. On one level, you're a member of the community, and your goal is to kind of to help the community and police the community and keep the community safe. But a lot of times you're put at odds with the community because of some of the things that you're required to do or you're forced to do based on the laws that are out there.
There's this perception, I think, that we're just morally opposed to it and we're out to make arrests in it, but that is about as far from the truth as you can get. We're going to enforce the law as it's written. And right now, medical marijuana is legal under very narrow circumstances. You have to have a documented qualified medical condition. You have to go to the right physician, make sure you have your card, stay with, buy it from the dispensaries, keep it in its packaging, use it in the proper locations. And that's the devil's in the details, because you can have a medical marijuana card, buy it from a dispensary, but if you take it out of the packaging or if you're using it while you're driving or then you can kind of run afoul of the law.
We serve from children all the way up to seniors. And so this conversation, this topic, is something that has to be addressed, and we have to address it with the correct education. The Bible also talks about that he created and gave us the plants and the seeds that's in the earth. However, this was for the betterment of mankind. And I think the challenge here, or the discussion that we have to have, is when the betterment of mankind is being challenged because persons are abusing something that was here to make you better.
As far as the faith base is considered, we should not die for a lack of knowledge. So before we cast any kind of particular judgment on our understanding of it, let's learn about it. Let's listen about it. Let's read about it, and so that we can be as informed as we possibly can be before we make a decision one way or the other.
Where we are going in society, it's evolving. And we've got to evolve with the time, just as we read in Scripture. He's the same God today, yesterday, and forevermore, which means he moves with time. And we have to be so ever open to that idea as well. Gain the knowledge, gain the information, and present it to the people in a way that they are still required to make a decision just as they did for salvation. They can make a decision as it relates to doing this in their usage.
It's just so much research that needs to be done in regards to this medical marijuana. It's just so, it's a nouveau situation, but even though it's centuries old. But I really believe that there's so much work to be done, and I'm personally just so happy that FAMU, is just taking the reins on this, because somebody has to do it. And I really wouldn't trust nobody else to do it other than FAMU,
We don't know how non-regulated, legalized marijuana impacts the brain of a child. We don't know that yet. We're doing the studies. These things are things that we need a continuous education. You've done great work in Tallahassee to really get the discussion out there, whether we have limits on how much THC and all that. That needs to be discussed even further as we study it, and that's a great thing that FAMU is doing. I mean, that's awesome that our state is taking that approach to it. There's a lot of benefits, but we need to have that causation that it can cause other issues, how it's impacting the young children that are getting it on the street.
You all have to do something as far as mandating education, because it's other people, it could be other people in the household, and they need to educate the other ones as well. And how they're each one gonna teach one if the first one don't know? So I think it all is going to start with education. I just want to say, this whole medical marijuana situation is so massive, and I know it's going to take a long time for everybody to get all the research done, but I'm so happy that the research is finally being done.
We need to know more. We know so little about this arena. We know so little. We have said it's been around, I always said decades, but you're talking, it's been around for centuries. And we don't know much, yet we're taking steps. We are doing things. We have to be cautious, because in many respects, we're not certain that what we're doing is the right thing. At the same time, we know we have to do something. We can't just sit and let it happen, because there is this thing out there that has the potential to make a difference. That is what the initiative at Florida A&M University is about.